Oh, god damn it. Tyler, why did your screen change? Does this
What do
every
you mean?
time. Uh, where it's supposed to be you, it's just now like showing the video feed of another screen. Hold on.
You act like I do something.
You messed it up. All right, there we
That's
go. All right, we're back. No Look Podcast, the earliest fucking podcast on the Insane Games TV channel. Got me out here waking up before 7:30. Golly, I'll tell you what.
I mean, I was up at 8:15 this morning my time, so I can't. I got to give the nod to Austin for the dedication for sure. Don't know if I could have awoken at 7:30 after that Fortnite dub that we came
Mm,
and conquered last night on Thursday.
that was glorious.
I got the last kill, by the way.
I wouldn't be so sure on
Check the
that.
VOD.
I think on the last kill it doesn't really like award it to anyone. It just kind of ends the game. So
Oh, it.
I'll,
mm,
I'll have to check replays though.
Yeah,
See how many I ended up with.
I think I had three, but I mean, we'll take it. Had to end on a dub.
That's neither here nor there, right? Our Fortnite skills are perennial, but football is only here, well, for now, 18 weeks. They gave us an extra week. So we have no time to waste, Tyler. You said you wanted to be Stephen A this morning. I'm going to kick the ball to you. I'm going to punt it your way. What do we got?
So last week, Austin, week three, you went. Do you want to take a gander at your record from last week?
I feel like I went pretty solid. Uh, wait, so we just did, wait, so we did 15 games because we didn't do Thursday.
16. No, we did do Thursday because
Oh,
I
okay.
allowed it.
Gotcha.
I'm also allowing last night's game too as well because we said it on the stream. Game wasn't over yet,
All right.
so um,
All right,
Austin,
because they ended up winning.
yes, Austin, you went 11-5 last week.
Solid.
Very solid. I went 12-4.
Mm.
So the season standings right now 29-17 for me and 27-19 for you. I mean, based on week by week, we're only going up. So I mean, at some point, maybe we'll get a perfect week. We're already 1-0 after last night's game, Jaguars versus the Bengals. Obviously, ending in a field goal winning kick. I watched maybe I'll dive a little bit into this game. I only watched like a total of 5 minutes, Austin.
Mm.
The Bengals have to be like the most underwhelming 3-1 team in the NFL right now. It's like their defense is decent, but like who have they played?
Well, that's just it. Yeah. The record. I just want to retract a little bit, Tyler. Are we taking these record statements to a notary? Are they getting officially notarized? So there's no, you know,
Discrepancies?
yeah.
I don't trust me.
I don't know. I mean,
I grind
somehow
at this.
this somehow he keeps going one better than me each week. I'm not going to go back and check the VOD every time, I'll take your word for it, but it's
You
just
picked the
it's interesting. It's like when you get a fake ID and they say in Superbad it's like, "Oh, everyone's 21." You want to go a little bit above. You kind of, just being 21 right now.
So you picked the Patriots over the Saints. I picked the Saints, obviously. I picked the Bengals over the Steelers. You picked the Steelers, and then you won the Giants over the Falcons because I picked the Giants in that shit stain of a game last week.
Mm.
But I mean,
All right,
you can
I'll
check the
take it.
VOD. I watched
Nah.
it last week. I made sure I did my checks and balances like I learned in accounting 101, and I'm 12-4. All I can say is, truly blessed. But back to the Bengals, 3-1. Jaguars. Also, ESPN, cut the shit, man. Nobody gives a shit about Trevor Lawrence and only losing 4 games in high school and college, combined, and now he's lost. I feel like I saw the same post on Instagram 16 times this past week. Oh, Trevor Lawrence is 1 game away from losing and tying his all time record in college and high school. Who cares? Nobody.
Mhm.
So that was like one of the
Yeah.
storylines of it, and it's like,
Yeah, it's
you
like the thing where Michael Jordan didn't make his varsity team. It's like, okay, he was in 10th grade and he was playing for a top school in North Carolina. It's like, yeah, Trevor Lawrence has now as many losses in the NFL as he did in college and high school combined, but he also played, I don't know where, but I'm assuming a, double triple A school in high school and Clemson, which was already stacked to begin with. He kind of just walked on that team and elevated them from God tier to fucking, I don't know what's above God tier, whatever is above that. But anyways, like you were saying, Bengals. I'll root for him. I'm a Joe Burrow fan. I like Jamar Chase. I've always liked Joe Mixon, even though he's screwed me year in year out for fantasy. Just very underwhelming. They're kind of, I guess, to put a spin on it, Tyler, instead of saying they're underwhelming, I'll say they're the grittiest 3-1 team, right? They're not doing things too flashy. Burrow, I mean, he had his best game last night. I think that might have been the first game without any interceptions. Of course, it came against, probably the worst team in the NFL right now, but I mean, there's something to be said about sitting at 3-1 in that AFC North division.
I mean, I'm looking at their schedule right now. They did beat the Vikings in overtime week 1. Obviously the Vikings kind of slowly becoming better this season. They lost to the Bears week 2, by 3. There too many offensive mistakes. Bears defense showed up. Then they beat the Steelers 24-10. Steelers obviously playing very, very bad right now. So it was kind of like, for me, it wasn't a surprising win. I expected it. And then obviously beating the Jaguars by 3 last night. I'll give them
Hmm.
credit. I mean, 3-1 with the schedule that they played. I think the Vikings are a decent team. The Steelers are obviously the Steelers. The Bears, I mean, losing to the Bears, that's a tough defense. So definitely, and we said this earlier in the year. Watch out for the Bengals. They're going to be a gritty team, as you said, Austin, in the AFC North and in the AFC. Next game we got this week, we don't even have to pick it. I already know who you're picking. Titans versus the Jets. I mean, Jesus Christ, if Derrick Henry doesn't rush for 300 yards, I'll be surprised.
Yeah, no, and now that you say that, I remember looking at this week's slate of games and thinking to myself, other than a handful, I think what is it, Broncos, Chargers, there's like the Raiders, who do they play?
Raiders face the Chargers on Monday night.
Okay, and then or maybe it's like Ravens. I don't know, there's like two or three games. Other than that, there's kind of not the best matchups. But getting back to what you said, uh Derrick Henry is gonna run, like Forrest Gump cross country on the Jets. I mean, if he goes, Tyler, if he goes, I mean, 200 is a high mark, right? On against any team, they're probably gonna load the box. I don't know what
Hey,
Julio's
Doug Martin
doing.
rushed for 251 against the Raiders back in 2012, so
All right, well,
maybe it was
just
272 or
just
something like
because you
that. It's
guys are both muscle hamsters, you don't gotta bring his name back up. No one remembered that guy. Anyways,
Nobody remembered Doug Martin. Are you kidding me?
he was
One
like,
of the most electric fantasy football moments ever, 53 points by a guy.
yeah, he had his 53 seconds of fame.
You do every night too.
Sheesh, give me a little extra time on the clock there, honey. I'll take it. Yeah. I lost my train of thought, and I don't really care to elaborate on it anymore. It's gonna be fucking Titans all day.
Yeah, the Jets are a bunch of bozos. Again, that kid came out with a TikTok about the Jets offensive line. They said it was funny. The one play, I only mentioned this one play. The one play, they had 5 guys rushing and 6 guys blocking, and yet there was 5 guys that ended up on Zach Wilson. Something
It's
needs to change.
the only thing I'll say, Tyler, is I don't know where they need to rip up the foundation from, but there's something there because, I mean, obviously we're seeing Darnold, perform well enough in Carolina. We've seen Adams, the safety, he's playing well in Seattle. I think Robert Sala or Salah, I don't know how you pronounce it exactly. I think he can be a good coach.
I
but
agree.
I don't know that anyone can succeed coaching the Jets right now. They're just set up for failure. Their rebuilding is like they get to the point, where they're starting to make some headway, and then they just like try to skip a few steps, and then they're back to square one. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think I agree. Robert Saleh definitely a good coach. I think the problem is that if the Jets never won the Super Bowl back in 1969, I think they would have already relocated this team
mm,
because there's no need to have two teams out of the Meadowlands, as New York teams, and they're so tainted at this point in as being the Jets that they become their own adjective. The Jets are
mm,
just gonna jet, and we're gonna jet on to the next game. Lions versus the Bears.
mm,
Austin, I got a little bit of an upset for you. I'm going with the Lions in this game.
mm,
I think the Lions, coming off of a tough loss against the Ravens, showed that they're gritty. They have, good chemistry. Jared Goff is playing, a lot more free, a
mm,
lot less. I was talking to someone the other day. It seems like he's stress free. Like there's not a lot of pressure on him, like there was in the bright lights of LA. Being coached by Sean McVay. DeAndre Swift playing great. TJ Hawkinson, one of the best tight ends in the league, top five probably. I'm going Lions over the Bears. I don't think the Bears offensively can keep up with the Lions, but their defense obviously will make a huge impact. But I think it's going to be a close game, as the Lions typically do this season, and I'm going with the upset.
So you're saying upset. What's the spread right now? The Bears are giving points.
Uh, I'm saying upset as in I'm pretty sure nobody's going to pick the Lions this week.
I would beg to differ. I would say the Lions are favored, especially if they're home. We got King Vex in the chat. What's going on? Thanks for joining us at this special edition early morning episode of the No Look podcast. You looked that up. I'm going to start, Tyler, and whether it's an upset or not, I actually want to agree with you. The Lions, even though they're 0-3 and what the Bears are 1-2, they've shown some potential, right? They've led at some point in every game this season. They lost to the Niners by one score. They lost to the Ravens by 2 points. They were up on the Packers at halftime, like you just mentioned, Tyler. Goff, he's got nothing to prove. He has no pressure. He's out there just trying to, I guess, showcase his talents to say, hey, I can still be a successful quarterback in this league after this season or whenever his contract's up. I can help out a team and, be successful and win football games. I do like the coach. Forgive me, I don't remember his name, but
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell, anyone who consumes that much caffeine just deserves to get a few wins under his belt. He's electric on the sidelines. He's
Before the
very
man has a heart attack.
yeah. Just come on, just give him a few wins. But no, he's very positive in his press conferences. I think where it was like the 49ers game or something, he didn't agree with the call. He's like, "Yeah, that was bullshit, but there's nothing we can do about it now. Let's move on." He wasn't hung up on it. He was just like, what do they say? What was that movie? Is like have the memory of a goldfish. Or I think that was
Mm.
Ted Lasso actually. Um, Shameless plug there for the Apple TV series. But with that being said, I think the Lions, have a little bit better team and a little bit better coaching staff. It's going to be a shit game. I honestly, Tyler, could care less who wins, but I think it's going to be the Lions.
So technically, it is an upset. They have the Bears at a 2.5 favorite over the
Hmm.
Lions,
That's
uh,
surprising.
and they actually have the over under set to 42. I think they said so. They're thinking some points are going to be scored, but
No, that's
next,
low.
I think that's pretty high for the Bears versus the Lions. The Bears offense can't even score. First off, you know
When
Justin Fields must owe the linemen money, or they have like they're going out to kill him. Like they're
have you
just
ever
letting
seen
guys.
have you ever seen a game over under score set in the 30s? Like 42 is on the lower side.
No, I think
It's
I've seen
usually it's
39 once.
well, yeah, once. Like that's probably the lowest ever, but like 41, 42 is pretty low. It's typically in like the 47, 48 range. And then whenever the Saints and the Bucks play, it's at 52.
Yeah. Um. Well, I mean, we'll see how it goes. Next game, we got Dolphins versus the Colts. This was a tough one for me, Austin. I'm not going to lie to you. I was looking at this game. Obviously, Dolphins coming off an overtime loss to the Raiders. Colts underperforming. They got Carson no ankle Wentz at quarterback, where every time he steps back into the pocket, you're worried he's going to snap his legs. He looks like Lieutenant Dan out there.
Mm,
I'm going with the Dolphins over the Colts, and the only reason I'm
mm,
doing that is because of the game that the Dolphins just had against the Raiders. They showed a lot of grit. They showed that they have the talent. Obviously Jacoby Brissett's going to be at quarterback. I think it's a little bit of a revenge game for him. The Colts, don't forget, did trade Jacoby and said, "Hey, get on out of here," or they released him or something.
mm-hmm.
I think he's going to come out. He played well in his first game for the Dolphins. He had great chemistry with Gaskin, with Gesicki, um, even Waddle. He looked good against the Raiders, even when he was being pressured by Max Crosby. I think the Dolphins come out and they pull this one off over the Colts.
I do like your angle there with Brissett. However, just to have a little bit of disparity, I think we've agreed on every game thus far. And, gun to my head, I think Colts are the better fit team, well rounded. I mean, Jonathan Lord Taylor, he's going to be running up the check and he's going to be running up the yards. They got, what's his face? Oh, why am I having
Darius Leonard.
why am I having a brain fart of their one
What position does he play?
wide receiver?
Michael Pittman.
Pittman, and they also got Paris Campbell chicken noodle soup. He's gonna be hot all game long. No, but the defense is better. I just Dolphins. I thought they were turning the corner. They started off the season 1-0. Two was like tolerable. Now he's getting hurt. Miles Gaskin, like, what are they doing? They have no run game. I mean, they got all these weapons, right? Gesicki finally had a good game. Fuller's back off the suspension or injury,
Well,
whatever he had.
Fuller, I think, got injured last game, so he was hobbling off the field.
I mean, nice. Doesn't surprise me. I mean, they
The guy
still.
falls on the ground and bruises his leg, and he's out for the season.
I mean, it must be anemic like me or something because this guy is just bruising up like a
Who
prune.
gets injured more, Carson Wentz or Will Fuller?
Uh, well, at least Fuller's injuries are like legit. I think he had like what broken ribs last year or something.
Yeah. So you
Tyler,
got the
I
Colts?
get on a roll and then you just stop me in my tracks, and then now I'm just like, all right, is it even worth getting back into
So you're going with the Colts?
going with the Colts?
Gotcha.
No.
We're on the right track, both you and me.
Exactly.
Well, speaking of the Colts, also, I don't know if you saw Marlon Mack. They're thinking about trading him, so pick him up on your free agency and fantasy. Could possibly land, in a place that actually wants to run the ball. I do agree, though. Also, might I add, I was thinking about this. Colts on paper, obviously a lot better than the Dolphins. But next game we got Browns versus Vikings. Who do you got, Austin?
I mean, hmm. This is actually an interesting one because I feel like let me look real quick.
It's in Minnesota,
I feel like the
I
Vikings
think.
are they man. The Vikings are one of those teams too. I mean, they lose by 3 to the Bengals, they lose by 1 to the Cardinals, and then they beat the Seahawks. I do believe the Vikings are a decent team, but fuck the Vikings. I'm gonna go with the Browns. Baker Mayfield, Miles Garrett. I mean, the guy had like 5,000 sacks last week. He looks like a Greek god. I think he's just gonna demolish that Vikings offensive line. Even without a solid passing attack, OBJ, he's back. He looks pretty healthy. I think, he played majority of the snaps. I didn't know that he was on any kind of limitation. They're missing Jarvis Landry. But I mean, you got Chubb, you got Hunt. You can split Hunt out. You can play him in the slot. You can do a lot of screen plays, stuff like that. I just think they're too dynamic. The Vikings, they're going to come, they're going to try to pound the ball down your throats with Dalvin Cook, and then they're going to swing it out to Justin Jefferson once every 5 plays. I think it's a lot easier to plan to stop that. And the Browns just overall a better football team, so I'm going to go with Cleveland in this matchup.
Yeah, I'm gonna agree with you on that. I had the Browns over the Vikings purely based off of defensive standpoints. Are they still thinking Dalvin Cook is gonna be out, or is he playing?
Uh, he'll probably play, and then he'll get injured in the second quarter.
Yeah, I mean the if you look at it, the Browns defense, obviously their front line with Jadeveon Clowney, Myles Garrett causing havoc. Last week, especially against the Bears, their secondary is actually one of the low key factors of the Browns' success this season. They have a great defense overall. Although Kirk Cousins is playing, really, really well, he's actually, top of the standings and percentage ratings and QBR and stuff like that. I just think the Browns have a stronger defense where it doesn't even matter if, they're missing Jarvis Landry. I mean, obviously they have Nick Chubb and Kareem Hunt, the 1-2 punch, but I think this is going to be a close game. I think it's probably going to be by 6
Mm,
if I had to guess. So I'm gonna go with the Browns over the Vikings. Next game we got Washington over. I got Washington over the Falcons.
mm,
This one was a pretty easy one for me. I mean, obviously the Falcons. What are they doing? By the way, you draft a tight end at number 4, Kyle Pitts. You have him line up at wide receiver. Yet you're not even getting the ball to your main guy, Calvin Ridley. You're not even getting the ball to Kyle Pitts. Like, what other options do you have on this offense? Zacchaeus? Like,
mm,
they need to get Pitts more involved. Matt Ryan is obviously a star-studded quarterback. They have a 1-2 punch themselves, I guess you could say, with Cordell Patterson stepping up. Mike Davis is I would say, a good goal line presence. But they have the pieces on offense, yet they have 4 players. They're not using them
mm.
successfully, I should say. Throughout the season. Obviously, last week against the Giants was a different story, but Washington, I feel like, again, I got to go with defense over this, and I think Washington has a better defense, especially front line. They are being burnt in the secondary, but I do think Washington will take this over the Falcons.
Yeah, I mean the Falcons are just not fun to watch right now. I think they're trying to tank, and they accidentally won last week against the Giants. Washington, a lot has been said about their defense thus far throughout the season. I think this is a good game, Tyler, to, like you just said, get on the right track. I mean, Chase is going to go young and reckless in the backfield. He's going to have at least 3 sacks. I think they're going to get back into their more defensive minded aspect. I think Gibson is going to play well. I mean, the Falcons are going to make Heineke look like a MVP candidate this week. I mean, McLaurin, he's going to have a big game. Logan Thomas, all those guys. I just think they're just too well rounded of a football team, and the Falcons are just like crashing and burning before our very eyes.
I think it's sad though, like when you draft a guy that has so much talent like Kyle Pitts, yet you don't key him. Like you don't set up plays for him. Like I feel like the Falcons haven't taken it into their. I mean, look at their coach though. Can you be the guy has no fucking chin. Like I
Yeah.
wouldn't trust that guy with a play call for my life. One play on the line, you have Kyle Pitts. I think I saw last week. They were on like goal line or whatever. Why not put Kyle Pitts on a slant route? They do that shit to Darren Waller, Travis Kelsey, Kittle. They do that, constantly for those guys. The guy's a big, lanky
Well, it's because
receiver
of
type
the
tight
the
end.
coordinator. They don't know what they're trying to call right now.
Kyle Pitts has a similar build to Darren Waller, right? Very
Yeah.
similar. They're both they're tall, they're skinny, but they're jacked. The guy just throw the ball up to him. Kind of like Mike Williams.
Hmm.
He's gonna come down with it most of the time. But, I'm not the Falcons coordinator or anything. Next game we got Bills versus Texans. Austin, who do you got?
I mean, I have zero energy and willpower to put forth some energy towards this matchup. It's gonna be Bills. They're gonna be breaking tables and breaking the Texans fans' hearts.
Yeah. I think the Bills are too hot right now. They're just Josh Allen MVP, candidate right now. Obviously put up a crazy stat line fantasy wise last week. So I'm gonna have to go with the Bills over the Texans on this one. Next game we got another blunder. Saints. Well, I guess not really a blunder because Jameis is playing as Jameis. Saints versus Giants. Austin, who do you got?
Oh boy, this is a tough one. I mean, it's been a very interesting NFL season, Tyler. The Saints come out, they stomp the Packers. The Packers, they beat the Niners, who beat this and that, and the Raiders are 3-0. I don't know what's going
Fuck
on. I
off.
th- I think Mercury is still in retrograde or something. I don't know. I think we got a solar eclipse coming up. It's messing off all the energy on the NFL teams. But I don't know. I gotta stick with the Saints on this one. I just until until the Giants get a better play caller on the sideline, where they can truly utilize Saquon Barkley and let Danny Dimes do his thing because they have receivers. Although, with that being said, I think Sterling Shepard,